California celebrates major milestones in its nation-leading effort to slash single-use plastic and packaging waste. Plus, local programs recover 338 million meals for hungry Californians, moving the state closer to its climate targets. And Californians cash in their empty wine and liquor containers to fight climate and trash pollution. CalRecycle's monthly public meeting starts now.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to CalRecycle's January 2024 monthly public meeting. This meeting is for Californians by Californians as we work together to protect our communities and fight climate change. To serve people of differing abilities and comply with the requirements of the American Disabilities Act, CalRecycle provides closed captions for publicly viewed meetings. Because live captioning requires voice recognition software, some errors may occur. Here's information about our Spanish language interpretation for this meeting.
Language shouldn't be a barrier when it comes to protecting our air, water, and land. CalRecycle is simulcasting this meeting in both English and Spanish. Click the public meeting banner at the top of calrecycle.ca.gov for a link to our webcast in English and Spanish. If you're attending this meeting in person in Byron Share Auditorium, we have Spanish interpretation devices available. Let our team on the left-hand side of the dais know if you need one. El idioma no
Our first agenda item today is the Director's Report. CalRecycle Director Rachel Mackey-Wagner joins us now with some important updates.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us, either here in person or remotely, and a very, very happy New Year to everyone. Very, very, very excited to kick off 2024 with a bang. As many of you know, we have a lot going on here at CalRecycle, and this year will be no different than last in that respect. For the first thing that I wanted to mention, for those of you who are interested in the Plastics and Packaging Reduction Act, SB 54, as otherwise known, we have released our draft regulations on SB 54. I see a big portion of the team who is very responsible for that here in the audience today, still smiling, which is a great sign as far as I'm concerned. So thank you to the CalRecycle team who've been working very, very diligently and tirelessly for over 18 months to bring you that draft regulation package. We will be having a question and answer session. I think it has been scheduled for February 1st for those of you who would like to come and ask questions specifically around the regulations before we launch the formal rulemaking period. Additionally, we have selected our PRO for implementation of this important statute, which is the Circular Action Alliance. So congratulations to the Circular Action Alliance for being selected, and thank you for your partnership. We look forward to working with all of the producers and manufacturers and with this new PRO in a partnership to achieve the goals and accelerate the goals of SB 54. Further, we've released the covered materials categories list under SB 54. In addition, we've also done the covered category materials list for SB 343. Sorry, the names are slightly different, but and slightly the same. Further, we have released our SB 54 legislative report to the legislature. So if you are interested in that obligation, please check it out on our website. Furthermore, SB 1383 milestones, we have finished our analysis of 2022 in terms of food recovery, and it appears that we have recovered 338,000 meals in, I think that's meals, 300 million, okay. 338 million meals, holy cow, 338 million meals have been recovered across the state of California in 2022. So a big, huge thank you and applause to our local jurisdictions who jumped in and are really moving the needle forward on a really important piece of 1383, not only for methane emissions reductions and elimination, but also in helping to feed the 1 in 5 Californians that is food insecure every day in our state. So thank you to our local jurisdictions, to our food banks for working with us, and we look forward to moving that needle even further forward. And on the beverage container recycling program, we are moving forward on that regulation, on the dealer cooperative regulation package, the new label requirements and the new beverage container requirements. So please look at our website if you are one of our stakeholders on the beverage container recycling program. As you can tell, CalRecycle is working very hard and diligently to ensure that all of our programs are launched in a way that works for our stakeholders, but most importantly, meets the objectives and goals of the programs and statutes that implement those programs or that are the impetus for those programs. And as we move into 2024, CalRecycle is very focused on making sure that we are really truly meeting the hierarchy of reduction, reuse, and recycling. And when we say recycling, that it is really true recycling. So as you engage with CalRecycle this year, please keep in mind that that is our objective, that we have a vision of a state where we are reducing our overall waste as we move forward with the data collection and implementation of our zero waste plan. We are looking at reuse and opportunities for reuse in our supply chain. And then when we talk about recycling, we are looking for true recycling, which in our minds means that we are collecting materials that have a next useful life. We are breaking those materials down, and then we are truly remanufacturing them into that next useful life. And really, when we talk about recycling, ensuring that we are not simply collecting for the sake of collecting, but truly that we are using materials and recycling materials that have true value in our economy and for the people of the state of California. So with that, I will turn it back over to Maria, but really, really happy New Year to everyone, and we look forward to working with all of you in 2024.
Thank you, Rachel. So a bit more now about the big SB 54 milestones to help cut single-use plastic and packaging waste in California. Division of the Circular Economy Deputy Director Zoe Hellard joins us for more.
Good morning, everybody. Director Wagner gave an overview of the implementation milestones, so I'm just going to add a little bit more detail to our upcoming question and answer session. So as our director mentioned, it'll be February 1st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here in this room, but there's also opportunity to engage via Zoom and webcast if you'd like, and Spanish translation will be available. And our goal for that workshop is to give an overview of the law, because it's been a while since we've done that, an overview of the regulatory process, where we are, where we're going in the coming year, and then to provide an opportunity for question and answer on the draft regulations that we've put out. So please sign up for our SB 54 listserv if you haven't already, for more updates. So the beginning of the formal rulemaking process will begin later this year, and that will trigger a 45-day public comment period, during which CalRecycle will encourage input from all interested parties. CalRecycle also plans to host a public hearing during the 45-day public comment period to give interested parties an opportunity to submit feedback in person or remotely on Zoom. So once again, stay tuned. We'll do the QA session, and that will be followed by a public hearing. Maria, back over to you.
Thank you so much. So CalRecycle is also advancing circular economy reforms with new improvements to California's beverage container recycling program. Let's watch a quick video on the historic changes taking place to help Californians redeem more beverage containers.
Cutting trash for cash.
Starting in 2024, Californians can recycle their empty wine and liquor containers and get paid for it.
Californians welcome the new year with new additions to the recycling program that's kept nearly 500 billion beverage containers off our streets and out of our landfills.
Our beverage container recycling program just expanded to include wine bottles and distilled spirit bottles.
More containers now eligible for redemption.
So anything under 24 ounces is 5 cents. Anything over 24 ounces is 10 cents. And then for those wine in a box or pouch, if it's still intact, you can get 25 cents for that container.
Estamos añadiendo o agregando
nuevos envases, ofreciendo más opciones para los consumidores.
Helping Californians do more to fight climate and trash pollution.
One of the great things about glass is it's 100% infinitely recyclable.
When we recycle materials, it turns into something new with a lot less water, a lot less energy, a lot less of those new resources.
With these changes, California expects 1 billion new containers to enter the program each year to help simplify recycling for consumers and get more recycled material to California manufacturers.
And they can do it over and over and over again because they are taking those used wine bottles, recycling them, and turning them into new glass.
This is really exciting, I think, for California, and I think something that we have been waiting for a while.
Beverage Container Recycling Program Deputy Director Amy Cameron joins us with important updates. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. Thanks, Maria. CalRecycle staff continue to work with program participants and consumers to answer questions and provide resources to support the successful expansion of the Beverage Container Recycling Program under SB 1013 and SB 353. All month long, CalRecycle is hosting informational sessions for recycling centers to address outstanding questions about the addition of wine, spirits, and larger juice containers to the program. Please visit recyclecrv.com to register for a session. There you will also find helpful signage and easy to understand information about all of the changes that took effect on January 1st, 2024. Thank you. Back to you, Maria.
Thank you, Amy. California is also celebrating a big milestone in the statewide effort to cut landfill climate pollution by recycling food and yard waste and recovering unsold food to feed Californians. Deputy Director of Materials Management and Local Assistance Division, Kara Morgan, joins us now. Good morning, Kara.
Good morning, Maria. Good morning, everybody. California jurisdictions are making incredible progress on implementing 1383. We have a lot of jurisdictions that are rolling out curbside collection programs, both for residents and commercial businesses, rolling out those mandatory programs. As of last quarter, we had more than 75% of our jurisdictions had rolled out residential collection programs, with more happening this first quarter in 2024. We have nearly 100% of our jurisdictions reporting expanded food recovery programs. And to add on to Director Wagner's earlier report, in 2022, jurisdictions reported recovering about 203,000 tons of edible food. Our target for 2025 is 231,000 tons. That's 338 million meals, as Director Wagner stated. And that means 87%, we're at 87% of our 2025 target. So we are well on our way to achieving that target. Let's take a look at this quick video on how local food recovery programs are cutting both pollution and feeding Californians across the state.
Fresh, unsold food isn't trash.
Morning, everyone.
California is making sure surplus meals feed people, not landfills.
I use whatever I can use, and the rest you're not sure.
It's great. It's so helpful for the families on base. By funding food rescue groups like Helping Hand Worldwide, California is helping feed some of the 1 in 5 Californians who don't have enough to eat, cutting climate pollution from rotting food waste in landfills, and building systems for a zero-waste future.
CalRecycle, who gave us a very generous grant, now we have an 18-foot truck, and it helps us do our part to recycle smart.
The benefits start multiplying from the first pickup at stores like Trader Joe's.
Most of these people are not going to be able to afford pre-made Trader Joe's salad. These have a very short shelf life.
It's all fresh product. Then we pack it on here, and then the same day we deliver it to the senior housing and the military or wherever our stop is that day.
More space to rescue, deliver, and carefully box over 500,000 more meals in just the first 2 years. You can see down here we have all the fruit and veggie, surplus food that fills a critical need in Orange and San Diego counties.
You never know who in your neighborhood is in need.
From seniors in Irvine.
Because Social Security video.
Several of them said, if it wasn't for this, I couldn't make rent.
To military families at Camp Pendleton.
Our paychecks don't go up depending on how many kids you have.
Well, veterans, so I can tell you there's families down there who can use it.
Helping Hand Worldwide caters to each community with diverse volunteers and staff. At every step, making sure nothing goes to waste.
There are spouses who work, so I will take the food home and then people will come to my house and pick it up, or I take it to other families on base. Instead of feeling like they don't belong in their own community, now not only are they a part of their community, but they're leaders in the community, connecting Californians with healthy food and each other. The first time, they don't look me in the eye. They keep their heads down. They're suffering from malnutrition. They have big rings under their eyes. Their skin's gray. And within a couple of months, their skin has that nice, healthy glow on it, strengthening our communities with a helping hand.
That was an awesome video. And I think what was really interesting to me is many of our federal facilities are not required to recover edible food, but many are doing so. So we have so many more generators who are stepping up and participating in this really important program. I'd like to let you all know jurisdictions and regulated stakeholders have been working hard the last 2 years. 2024, there are some new requirements that kick in for local jurisdictions, as well as commercial edible food generators. So starting January 1, 2024, unsold food donation requirements expanded to what we call our Tier 2 generators of commercial edible food. These are businesses that have more prepared foods like hotels, restaurants, and large venues, as well as state-owned cafeterias and school districts with food facilities. So a lot of work coming this year to help those commercial edible food generators implement their requirements. Also, local governments must start enforcing their local organics recycling and food recovery requirements starting January 1, 2024. The department's next SB 1383 monthly chat with CalRecycle is tomorrow from 1 to 3 p.m. We've had tremendous participation, so I hope all of you will be there. It will focus on container contamination monitoring requirements and what jurisdictions are doing to monitor contamination, because that's so vitally important to having good quality recovered organic waste. You can register online to participate on Zoom. You can find the registration link through the listserv or our events calendar on our homepage. So next on the agenda, I wanted to share with you the status of SB 1383 Article 2 Alternative Technology Determination. This is following an application submitted by H-Cycle in July of 2023. On January 11th, 2024, CalRecycle's director determined that the proposed H-Cycle technology is a reduction in landfill disposal because the technology meets the benchmark reduction required by the 1383 regulations to constitute a reduction in landfill disposal. Staff is working on publishing a description of this technology on CalRecycle's website as soon as possible. Please sign up on the listserv for SB 1383 updates. And finally, Contra Costa County submitted its 5-year review report for its countywide integrated waste management plan. These reports are comprehensive analyses of planning documents which may be impacted by changes to demographics, disposal capacities, funding, and diversion programs. No revisions to the county's planning documents are necessary at this time. This item has been approved by me. Back to you, Maria.
Thank you, Kara. Next on the agenda, 99.1% of consumers now have access to nearly 870 used paint drop-off sites within 15 miles of their homes. That's the highest convenient rate for the paint stewardship program in the program's history. Here's a quick reminder of how the program works.
Every year, Californians buy enough paint to cover 35 million rooms with 2 coats. That's 70 million gallons of paint. In California, it's free and easy to turn in leftover paint in a safe, environmentally friendly way. It's all thanks to a 2010 state law that made the paint industry responsible for managing excess paint. Now, 99% of Californians have a free drop-off site near them.
Within 15 miles of my house, there are 18 paint care drop-off locations.
It wasn't always this easy.
Paint's illegal to dispose in your household trash or down the drain. because it's made out of hazardous or dangerous chemicals that can pollute our local waterways. Older paint can even contain metals like lead, which are especially harmful for human health.
Not too long ago, Californians had few options to manage excess paint, forcing many to stockpile paint at home or rely on local taxpayer-funded collection programs.
Paint was the largest material by volume that local government household hazardous waste facilities used to receive, and it would cost them millions of dollars each year.
But even then,
local governments could only collect a certain volume, much less than what was actually out there.
So California found a better way to ease the burden on consumers and local budgets and ensure leftover paint is properly managed. Then Northern California Assemblymember Jared Huffman authored AB 1343. The law made California the second state in the nation to enact an industry-run statewide program to handle used paint. Manufacturers that sell paint in California chose the nonprofit Paint Care to design and operate a stewardship program, which CalRecycle oversees.
Consumers can find locations of paint drop-off sites by going to paintcare.org.
Funded by a small consumer fee on the purchase of new paint, the organization and its partners promote reuse.
When you're done with your paint, someone else can use it.
California Innovation shows the world how to make it easier for the public to help protect the environment.
Division of the Circular Economy Deputy Director Zoe Heller has some Paint Care and other extended producer responsibility program updates.
Thanks, Maria. Paint Care submitted its fiscal year 2023 annual report. It included all information required by statute, regulations, and its plan, and achieved the program goals, demonstrating that Paint Care further increased program convenience by providing 868 free drop-off sites. 88% of the 3.1 million gallons of paint processed during fiscal year 23 was reused, recycled, or used for purposes other than landfill disposal. The stewardship program has collected over 34 million gallons of paint over the last decade. The director will determine whether to adopt a finding of compliance, non-compliance, or conditional approval for Paint Care's annual report by January 30th, 2024. More information, including the annual report and staff's analysis, are linked to the public notice on today's agenda. Moving on to our next item, CARE is required to submit annual reports to the department by September 1st each year that meet the requirements of statute, regulations, and its approved plan. CARE's 2022 annual report demonstrated that CARE did not meet its recycled output goal, met the required goals for recyclability, collection, reduced disposal, and increased processor capacity in California, increased the number of post-consumer carpet products in the marketplace, and achieved its recycling rate, reuse, and program convenience goals in 2022. This item will now go to the director for her consideration. More information, including the annual report and staff's analysis, are linked to the agenda. Next, CalRecycle reviewed a revised annual report related to the pharmaceutical and sharps waste stewardship programs. On January 8th, 2024, the director disapproved the Drug Takeback Solutions Foundation's revised 2022 annual report for covered drugs. The foundation is not required to resubmit its annual report as described in the request for action. You can read staff's analysis on this item in the public notice linked in today's agenda and subscribe to CalRecycle's Pharmaceutical and Sharps listserv to receive further updates.
CalRecycle has upgraded our public comment intake system. To submit your comments, you can find the link in the same location on our website, just with a new look. Here's more.
California wants your input on recycling and trash pollution issues. Join CalRecycle's decision-making process by making a live public comment on any of today's monthly public meeting agenda items in person or by phone. Microphones are available for those of you in the room with in-person comments. If you're joining remotely, you can call in with your comment. Just click the public meeting banner at the top of our website, then click the public comments button for step-by-step caller instructions. We will address live public comments at the end of the meeting.
You can access the public comment portal through our new monthly public meeting webpage. The webpage is now available also in Spanish. We will address submitted comments at the end of this meeting. And now we'll go back to Deputy Director Zoe Heller for grant and loan program announcements.
CalRecycle has proposed criteria changes to the Local Conservation Corps grant program that funds 14 local conservation corps across the state of California. Local conservation corps employ, educate, and train Californians in a variety of conservation and recycling-related projects. Key changes will authorize CalRecycle to recommend reductions in grant awards when funding is not fully expended by a local corps in the previous 2 cycles. This change will take effect in Grant Cycle 40. You can read more in the public notice linked to today's agenda. Cycle 39 notice of funds are expected to be posted in March, with applications due in April. Moving on to the approval of a recycling market development zone loan. A $1.3 million loan has been approved for U.S. Rubber Recycling Incorporated. The company has been in business for nearly 4 decades and uses waste tire crumb rubber to produce rubber flooring mats and tiles. The loan will help with the purchase of a destoner, roll peeler, and provide extra working capital for the business to recycle an additional 820 tons of crumb rubber every year. Back to you, Maria.
Now we'll go to the solid waste and tire facilities permits and emergency waivers section. CalRecycle has upgraded its facility permit presentation to show an aerial view of the county and then an aerial view of the specific facility addressed. Here's a quick overview of how California facility standards work, and plus a statewide facility permit update from Environmental Program Manager Paulina Lawrence.
Protecting the health of Californians and their land, food, water, and air is a big job. Local, state, and federal agencies play different roles to enforce public health and environmental safety standards. In California, solid waste local enforcement agencies process applications, issue, and enforce permits for solid waste facilities. These include landfills, transfer stations, compost facilities, or similar operations. CalRecycle must verify permits are consistent with state requirements. Permits can only address areas within the authority of local enforcement agencies and CalRecycle. Check out the link below for more detailed information. Emergency waivers allow temporary changes to solid waste permit requirements in response to local or state disasters. Local enforcement agencies may approve the waivers, which are good for up to 120 days and may be extended. CalRecycle must review approved waivers and can condition, limit, suspend, or terminate them. Check out the link for more detailed information. For waste tire facilities, CalRecycle processes applications, issues and enforces waste tire permits. These include requirements to make sure tires are stored and processed in a way that reduces potential threats from fire and disease-carrying vectors like mosquitoes. Check out the link for more detailed information.
You can find more information on any
for San Bernardino County on December 19, 2023. The department agreed with the local enforcement agency and concurred on a new solid waste facilities permit for the City of Claremont Community Services Department. Action was needed January 8, 2024. For Orange County, on December 19, 2023, the department agreed with the local enforcement agency and concurred on a compostable materials handling facility permit for Bee Canyon Greenery. Action was needed December 31st, 2023. And then for San Diego County, on January 9th, 2024, the department agreed with the local enforcement agency and concurred on a new compostable materials handling facility permit for Otay Mesa Compost Facility. Action was needed January 20th, 2024. Continuing on this month's agenda is Yolo County. This is for Yolo County Central Landfill. This is a revised solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed January 19th, 2024. Next, for Ventura County, is Mountain View Organic Waste Processing Facility. This is a revised solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed February 3rd, 2024. And lastly, for Orange County, we have Madison Materials, Inc. This is a modified solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed February 3rd, 2024. New to this month's agenda for San Bernardino County is One Stop Landscape Supply Center, Inc. This is a revised compostable materials handling facility permit. Action is needed March 3rd, 2024. Preliminary review of the permit package indicates the following proposed changes: updating the facility name and address, updating the name and mailing address of the operator and owner, correcting the design capacity units from cubic yards to tons per day, updating the following sections of the permit: specification, legal description, findings, prohibitions, documents that describe and/or restrict the operation of the facility, self-monitoring, and enforcement agency conditions. There will be no changes to the permitted hours of operation, maximum tonnage, traffic volume, or permitted area. For San Diego County, Otay Landfill Composting Operation. This is a revised compostable materials handling facility permit. Action is needed March 10th, 2024. Preliminary review of the permit package indicates the following proposed changes: increasing the permitted feedstock from 200 tons per day to 400 tons per day, and increasing the design capacity from 1,008,700 cubic yards to 217,400 cubic yards.
You can find more information on any of today's agenda items. Just go to CalRecycle's homepage and click on the public meeting web banner at the top of our site for a link to the agenda and associated public notices. If you're viewing this in a recording, you can also find this further down the page in the public comments section. Now is the time for our public comments. First, we'll take comments from the public present in our Sacramento Cal EPA headquarters meeting room today. After that, we'll take comments from those participating by phone. And a reminder, you're on the phone, if your microphones will stay muted until you're called on by the last 4 digits of your phone number. Also, please mute your webcast to avoid potential feedback issues. Do we have public comments in the room today? Wow, I think that's a first. It doesn't appear that we do at this time. So now is the time for public comments by phone. Again, if you're calling in, please stay muted. You'll stay muted, and you will be called on by the last 4 digits of your phone number. Do we have any callers, Lance?
Yes, we have 2 calls. First caller with the 4 digits 0392. You can go ahead.
Hello, thank you. This is Susan Collins from the Container Recycling Institute. And I am just, I have a comment, 2 comments actually. One, I am pleased to see the little bit of public education that's been done on the beverage container recycling program, including wine and spirit. But I think that much more is needed. I recall that the last time the program was expanded about 15 years ago, or whenever it was that non-carbonated beverages were added to the program, there was at least a $5 million public education campaign, including, TV and radio ads and billboards and everything to try to let the public know that the new containers were added to the program. And of course, a similar level of effort is appropriate now, and the funding is there in the public education money that's in the budget of $5 million a year. So I would encourage the state to do much more public education to let the public know that wine and spirits have been added to the program. My other comment is that the governor's budget was released recently, and the ending fund balance that is in that document is nearly $300 million off. It's nearly $300 million less than the documentation that CalRecycle sent to the Department of Finance. It's erroneous on a regular basis. I don't know how finance puts together the governor's budget, but they usually do not match the paperwork that CalRecycle sends to them. But the level of error this year is larger than I've ever seen. I've seen $200 million errors, but I've never seen one that approached $300 million. So it's showing a fund balance of, at the end of 22-23, of only $538 million, when CalRecycle's own paperwork that was signed by Rachel is a fund balance of $830 million. Clearly, this needs to be rectified, and it seems like it would be the responsibility of CalRecycle to let the governor's office know about this, the finance office know about this, and all of the legislators who sit on the different budget committees, because it's clearly a document that's going to be presented to them with erroneous information. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Collins, for your comments.
And there's another caller. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, sorry, they have the last 4 digits of 0085. I'll go ahead and ask you to unmute and then state your name, affiliation, and comment, please. I'll just give them a little more time. Caller with the last 4 digits, 0085. If you're there, go ahead and unmute. And we are getting no response, Maria, so you can probably just move on.
Okay, great. And again, so there's no more comments in the room? All right. So we'd like to thank everyone who participated in today's public meeting. You can find the videos from today's meeting and the January 2024 public meeting recordings, the recording of this session, posted to CalRecycle's YouTube channel as soon as possible, including the Spanish translation. As we work to make our communication as accessible and inclusive and relevant to Californians as possible, we welcome your feedback through CalRecycle's various channels. And we'd like you to have a great rest of your morning and week, and we will see you next month. Thank you.